I know how crazy the economy is right now. Everybody's feeling it. And guitar lessons are definitely a luxury, right? No one needs that to survive. And despite all this self-doubt and anxiety and fear I've had about getting this started, especially seemingly at what is possibly the worst time ever, economy-wise, I still think it's the right time to do it. So I've been thinking about teaching guitar for the last 10 years, and my previous jobs just took out a lot of energy from me, and I've come to realize I'm probably not fit for a 9 to 5 job in the long term of things. So one of my first jobs out of college was I worked at a bank, and I was working mandatory overtime every day or every week for a year. So I was working 50, 60 plus hours, and I was 25, 24 at the time. So I had a lot more energy back then. And fast forward, I took a real estate photography job, and I've been doing that for the last 8 years. And it's been a lot better of an experience because it's not like a traditional 9 to 5. I may work those hours, but I don't have to go to an office. I don't really have to report to anyone. I can have full command over how the photo shoot goes. And it's just nice to do that instead of going to some dimly lit office where there's like bars on the windows, and it just feels more like a prison than anything. And I understand that not everyone can get into a situation where they can avoid that, and if it comes down to it and I have to do it, I will take a 9 to 5, but I'm going to do everything in my power to kind of stay out of that, because I know in the long term it's probably not going to be the best for me, just because it's tough as a creative person to reconcile, making money and then also not taking so much energy out of your day that you can't do what you actually want to do. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. And yeah, trust me, the older you get, the more you feel like you have less energy all the time just from doing your normal task every day. And it can be really difficult just to get started on something that you really want to work on, but you just want to sleep all day instead, right? So ever since I've been more honest with myself and like wanting to actually do this and like start my own teaching business and reconcile with the fact that this is like the only way forward for me logically. At the same time, it's funny because my brain will do all these tricks saying that, I don't have the skill set. There's tons of other people that are better than me. And what can I offer that other people can't? And it's crazy to think that your brain will do things like that to you, especially when I've been playing for 14 years and it's not something I've taken lightly. Like, it's been a very serious pursuit, and I've put in thousands of hours at this point. So I have a lot of knowledge that I can give people, and it's something I want to do. I would love to see more people pick up an instrument. And I know how intimidating and just stressful it can be, especially in my case. I started from zero. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to hold a pick. That felt weird. I didn't know how to play any chords. I had no sense of rhythm, really. Just everything was awkward to me, right? So I would love to give someone the stepping stones to get past that initial barrier, so then that way they can actually learn and feel fulfilled on the instrument. Because let's face it, it's a really tough instrument to learn. It's not like a piano where everything is just horizontal and like, here are the white keys, here are the black keys, right? You have to go vertical and horizontal. And I think even that alone is very intimidating to people. And if you just have someone sitting there with you that has been through all that and is mostly self-taught, I think it's a huge boon to someone. And I think the most difficult part about the instrument is just getting through that first breakthrough where you don't know anything, nothing is clicking, it doesn't feel good. And then you start learning your first set of chords, or maybe you learn like one guitar riff, and then all of a sudden, you just feel so accomplished and addicted. And I've been doing this for so long, and I still get moments like that. In fact, last night I was working on a song I had, and I was running out of ideas. I have had writer's block for a while, but I just sat down for about an hour and I just knocked out this next part of a riff I'm working on. So I think having someone there that can relate to those experiences, especially in a setting where, for me, there's a lot of doubt about not being classically trained or formally educated or having all these different accolades, but I think what the brain does as you start getting more out of your comfort zone is it tries to pull you back. So it's telling you, you're not good enough. There's people more educated than you. There's people that have been teaching for 10, 30, 20, 30 years or whatever, and they've got it down to a science. You don't have the best gear to record with, which is true, I don't, but I'm making do with what I have. I mean, my work camera here is, it's not meant for video, it's meant for photos, and even then it's an old camera, but I mean, it gets the job done for, for real estate listings. So even with all that negativity, I still, yes, there's some days that it really gets to me and it feels terrible, but at the same time, I'm learning to turn it into more of like a positive driving force into what I want to do. So I'm kind of flipping it on its head that 14 years of experience in any skill is crazy good. There's not many people that have stuck with something for that long and have put in as many hours as I have. And that's not to say that, you know, I don't want to claim I'm the best player ever, but I think I've found a way to uniquely give myself a voice on the instrument that if you were to put me up against a line of guitar players and you all played their stuff, you would be able to easily identify my playing, just because I think I've developed something a little more unique. And I think I can help people find that, on top of the fact that I just want to see them get better and actually stick with the instrument. So that would be my message, is that if you are feeling like you just can't get out of your comfort zone and everything's so scary, I think it's because your brain is trying to keep you where you're used to being, and I don't want to do that anymore. I just don't see myself doing real estate photography for all that much longer. And like I said, it's nothing really against the job, but 8 years is a long time doing something, and the only thing I really felt like I've ever been good at in my life, or at least, you know, somewhat competent in, is playing guitar. So why not try to make a living off of it? You know, it doesn't make sense to do anything else. I had initially thought I was just going to find some random 9-to-5 job and, you know, just like buffer my pay a little bit. But then I realized I have such flexibility with this job. I can basically take off time whenever. So why not do that? Why not just take the risk? You know, I'm not going to regret it when I'm, you know, 70, 80 years old and, you know, I'm on my deathbed thinking, oh, I'm sure glad I'm glad I worked more, right? Instead of like taking the risk to do something. So that's where I'm at. You know, I'd rather just get it started and see what happens. And then same thing with documenting this whole start. It's holding me accountable doing this, right? Because if I didn't have a camera facing towards me, it'd be so easy to say, I don't feel like doing this right now. I'm too tired. And that's the thing. You gotta distinguish. You know, I think too many people research things too much instead of actually doing things. So I'm trying to take a more realistic approach where, yes, I want to teach, but I also need to do a little bit of research, but then actually act upon that, right? So it's about, how can I get students? How can I distinguish myself from other people and things like that? So that's what you need to think of. You can't just have like these lofty goals where you have 3 months to do something, right? I would rather set a deadline for a week and then get started that way. Because then it sets like a timeline and you don't have like all this wiggle room where you can just get out of it whenever you're not feeling good. So that's where I'm at. I want to get this started. I'm tired of doing this whole real estate photography thing, and I know that if I keep doing it for much longer, it's just going to take out all my creative energy. I'm already exhausted and it's not even the busy season. So I'm going to see what happens. You know, I'm optimistic. I'm a little nervous about, you know, getting started on it, but what's the worst that could happen? I'm already playing guitar, you know, 4 to 6 hours a day. So why not try to get paid for it, you know? So we'll see what happens, but this is just my way of holding myself accountable to what I actually want to do.